Hi humans, just a quick note that this episode contains conversations around abuse, substance misuse, pediatric terminal illness, and cancer. This warning is simply to empower you with the knowledge you need to make healthy decisions about how and if you should consume this podcast content. As always, we trust you with you.
This is Good Girl Gone Human, an ongoing conversation that serves the frequency of rehumanization. We believe that in striving towards being good and away from being bad, we can lose touch with our humanity and uniqueness. Our hope is that in expanding our capacity to accept our own humanity, we expand the capacity to accept and hold each other's humanity as well.
We welcome uncertainty and questions with curiosity. This is not a roadmap for the right way to be human. We hold tenderly how seductive and human it is to reach for a formula that will provide a sense of certainty and safety. This is not that place, but rather a place for dropping into our big, messy questions.
This isn't just for the recovering good girls out there, but for every human who desires to peel off the layers that hide the wholeness of who they are.
We want to tell the stories of how messy and complicated and beautiful it is to find ourselves in the aftermath of this shedding. There is space for your story, and we want you to join us on this journey of rehumanization.
Hello, humans. Welcome back to Good Girl Gone Human. We are here for part 2 with Claire Margit. Hi, Christina. And hi Claire.
Hello.
We are so grateful that you were willing to also do a part 2 with us. For all you humans out there, if you haven't heard part 1, we highly recommend it. Claire tells a bit more about her personal story of her sobriety journey and her healing from cancer twice, and just how that's led to the work that she does in the world now, and also has led to how she holds her own body. And it was just such a beautiful conversation. And for me personally, so much came up as she was sharing. There's so much, we kept saying, resonance with Good Girl Gone Human and Claire's work, and the book she's writing, Good Hard Good. And so highly encourage you to listen to that and get to know her kindness and her passion that she told her story with. And what we're going to sit with today is a bit more of her work. She has a workshop. It's called Cell Story, and she goes deep into the science. And we're not going to maybe go as deep as the workshop. That will be available someday. But she is going to give us a taste. And she also offered us to, like Christina and I, to interact, share our personal stories. And there's also a lot of a process to give us, to ground us into, not just throw science and you are in charge of you. Go forth. She has like a beautiful process to share that we've seen glimpses of. So Claire, we're so excited and grateful that you're here to share so much of what you've mapped out in the world and what you're passionate about.
Oh, man, this shit saved me,
Yeah.
And it saved, I won't say it really supported a lot of the clients and a lot of my students and a lot of people through a lot of stuff. And I'm not in the business of quick fixes, right? I don't know that any healers are. It's never our intention to fix anything quickly. It's to fix something truthfully and wholly, and to rewrite the stories from the ground and the bottom up. So that's, and like I said, I really, as an instructor, when I teach this, the magic is in the back and the forth. So, whatever you guys have,
we have a lot. We have a lot.
Yeah. No, but I feel like starting. I mean, you guys want to start with the positivity problem?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Can I ask what your guys' relationship with positivity, or when I say just think positively.
Oh, I say
what happens in your body?
What happens in my body is, if you were sincerely saying just be positive, I would probably smile at you and say, I'm never fucking opening up to you again. There's this therapist I follow on Instagram, and she wrote a book called Toxic Positivity, and those words together actually made a lot of sense to me. I'm someone that moves through the world. I love that you called it truth. I just like in part one you said, or maybe it was when we were connecting. In any case, rehab was just such an honest place. Everyone wasn't masked, and I crave to experience other humans in that way all of the time. And when somebody just wants me to leave the past in the past and like just be positive, I feel like I will have to split off just so much of myself in order to do that. And I also feel like it's really to make the person that's telling you to be positive comfortable and has actually nothing to do with you as a human. So it's a very disconnecting word for me. And wow, apparently I have a soapbox about this.
Well, I'm laughing because I have such a different, like, my feelings about like positivity feels like my baseline, and I thrive in it, and I like long for it, and I love it. So like if someone were to tell me to stay positive, I'd almost be like, we're on the same team. I want to be positive, but I won't jump. I'm not going to skip over the sludge to get there. Like I want to go through the dirt, and I want to face the darkness, but I know that like my compass points towards positivity. I like long for it, and I love it. So it's like a funny, that's Holly and I.
It's great co-host situation because we can
but holding both, but it's just funny, even to hear our different feelings towards the word.
As Holly was talking, I was thinking, someone who knows who has studied the science behind positivity, or has themselves like done the work, understands that's actually the worst possible thing to say to someone, that there's a way to get to something truer without bypassing the other true thing or all the other true things along the way. Right? If our goal is the truest form of my cells reproducing, my DNA reproducing at the way that God, universe, whatever highest self intended them to or needs them to, I can't bypass through all those hard and good things, right? To get there, I have to honor each of them. And that was kind of like that was the origin story or how the model was produced, that there's no question that positive thinking positively impacts health. The studies done on that, I mean, I don't know if you guys use Chat GPT, but if you do, the paid version has deep research, or you can even do Google Scholar. All you have to do is type in power of positive thinking on physiology and anatomy, and it is endless. Big pharma works very hard to keep it hidden and everything, but it's there. So how do we hold this truth of actually like positive thinking is impactful and does positively impact my health but I'm not going to force it, right? And the way I love using the body positivity movement here. So for me, are you guys like that the body
familiar with that.
Right, okay. And like 7 years ago, it was super cool to love your body, just love all of it. Love your rolls, love your flab, love your scars, love all of it. But that was really triggering and tricky for someone like me, because at my heaviest, I weighed over 450 pounds. And my abdomen has had lots of surgeries. And I had flab before I had that flab removed because I lost all that weight, right? And so when I look in the mirror, I can honor this vessel, right? I look at myself and I'm just in love with her and what she's held and how she moves through this world. And, right, that's true. And X, Y, and Z. And there is flab and there are scars. And I've had 4 children and all of those things. So the importance here is that the nervous system that we have, our nervous system, doesn't actually require blind positivity. It requires neutrality. It requires a safe, like neutral space, because in that neutral space, then I'm down regulated enough. I feel safe in this place where I'm allowed to be everything I need to be. No one has an expectation of me to perform or behave a certain way. I don't have any expectations of me to perform or behave a certain way. Here I am, human, right? In that space, there are endless possibilities. I can actually begin to think a more positive thing, not the most positive. I don't have to go from, if someone had if someone had looked at, I have a very specific memory of being in my bone marrow transplant, and I'm laying on my side, I'm vomiting out while I'm spraying diarrhea at the same time. Okay, so it was horrific.
Oh man.
But my CNA Gary opens the door because it's a nightmare, right? It's like just a body fluid nightmare, and like looks at me and goes like, "Are you okay? Are you hanging in there? How you're not going to in that moment tell that person think positive thoughts, right? No, you're gonna sit with them.
Yeah.
You're gonna
You would
honor
hope
their
so. Yeah.
you're gonna just sit there, and that's what we do with nope, this is my reality, right? But can I think one truer thing? What's one truer thing? So
can I jump in and ask, like, neutrality to me, I'm like stuck on that, like, 'cause
okay.
how does one get neutral? Because the doing one truer thing makes sense, but if I'm in a charged place and then I'm like, my other option is just be positive, like both of those feel like rattling. Like, how would you define neutrality?
I think that the dance moves that we're going to talk about, this professional human protocol that we can talk through and work through,
please.
really help give us tools, and maybe tweak our perspective a little, to be able to exist in a more neutral space, because that's how I want to enter every space. I want to move through my life neutrally and joyful, like all those. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so like the first, so then I mean, for listeners or for you guys, like the professional human protocol is just that, and it's the way I use a dance floor as a way to speak about it, because that's what this is, just one big clunky party.
And we love metaphor, we can lean
metaphor.
into a metaphor.
We'll
and
dance with
I
you.
can really lean into a dance floor metaphor. So
Cool. So the first dance move then is just declaring, like, the professional human. It's I'm declaring, I'm professing, I'm speaking, I'm acknowledging that I'm a human, and that's all I have to be, and that's perfect. I don't have to be a perfect human, which you guys have fucking down. You guys
that step is good. Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a practice.
It's
that's
we're not
still a practice for us. I mean, just to remember to stop and say that we want to be that. We want to embody that. That's the goal of this podcast. And we say to each other all the time, okay, we're human. Oh, we're allowed to be human. Like, we have to, it's a remembering. It's like
remembering.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We talked a little bit about in the first episode, but like, to profess something is to declare it. And human is just mud, soil, hummus, earth. And that's where we're all going anyway. And so, like, why not have some fun on the way there? So that's the first dance move, and I like Dr. Becky. I don't know if you follow her, but she has this idea.
We love her
learning space that she talks about, that we start at the not knowing, and we end at the knowing. And I like to elaborate on that, and actually her model went viral. It really helps support my model.
Cool.
I call it the human space, which is, and it taps into spiral dynamics. This idea of life is just this constant whirling of learning and unlearning, and learning and unlearning. And that my hope as a professional human is that I would allow that space between the knowing and the unknowing, or the learning and the unlearning, whatever, to fuel my growth instead of feed my shame. So I want it to make me feel bigger and more human, and not, I don't want to dip into shame there. So that's that first dance move. Do you have any thoughts there? Does that feel
That feels great. I mean, I'm even thinking about education. When you're
okay?
studying to be an educator, there's that zone of proximal development, they call it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to push a kid past their ZPD, is what it's called, the zone of proximal development. If we're giving them things that are beyond, so far beyond what they can do, then there's frustration and shutdown, right? So you give them the next, like, little morsel, but it is pushing them. So kind of, I can
Yeah.
feel that tension of, if we want to grow, there's discomfort and there's like some things, but I need to like know my capacity and my range in order to be able to do that. So kind of stating like I'm a human is kind of creating like a range for us that we can sit in a little bit.
And that's the basis of trauma informed body work, is that when I was starting to get back in my body after cancer, I was terrified of touch. My body had been
Yeah.
like violated by practitioners for decades and stuff, and my mom before that with abuse. And so it was, what's this sweet spot between challenging the nervous system because we want to grow, right? We have to take it to the edge every time. So yes, that's the basis of trauma. That's the basis of restoring regulation in a lot of ways, is finding that zone. Awesome. So then the second dance move is good, hard, good. And that is one that's very precious to me. Um, I forgot, I didn't mention that each of these dance moves, there's four of them, represents a universal truth, right? None of this is new. None of the wisdom. I know you guys hit on that too. Like, none of this shit is new. It's all just human stuff. So the first one, welcome to the dance floor, kind of the universal truth that goes with that one is radical acceptance, right? We just have to accept that we're human, and so is everyone else. Okay, that's the key. I'm human and they're human. The second one is good, hard, good, and the universal truth there is non-dualism. I love non-dualism. Um, and for those, I mean, people, if you don't know what that means, I'm thinking about listeners who
Yeah.
might be new to the more
Say,
mystical.
yeah, say more about it.
It's just this ability to be able to hold multiple truths at once, multiple realities. So that sounds like I'm a great dancer and there's room for improvement. I'm, like, these two things are true. We talked a little bit about wounded, not wicked in the last episode. So they can listen to that if they want that one. I feel like there's another story I have that really encapsulates the importance of being able to hold good and hard at the same time. And that was the day that we put a diaper on my sister. It was like the worst day ever. But I swear to God, something happened in my brain where I we literally went from, so she was dying. She made the choice to die because the cancer had come back, and there were two things that she was terrified of. The first one was being apart from my mom when she died, and the second one was having to put a diaper on. This 14-year-old, right? Like, she's got crushes, and here she is with a diaper in her room. It was horrific. I always cry when I talk about this. Man, we just cry. Do you cry this much with everyone else?
No, but we love to cry.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
We're here for it.
Oh God, it's so human.
Tears are welcome always.
They are.
Yeah. And so I told her, I was just like, hey, the day you put a diaper on, so will I.
Oh.
And so my mom and I were her primary caregiver, like, at that point. And
How old were you? Sorry.
16.
Oh. Oh wow.
Yeah. So the day came, and it was like as horrific as you'd think it would be. And we put it on her, and we're all wailing. Like, it's just like, how is this what's happening? Like, this kid is dying. This kid is dying. And it's on her, and she looks at me, that little fucker, and she had this pinch thing she did after her stroke, but she was like, Claire, oh Claire, oh Claire. And we all just, we just started howling, laughing, because we knew that I was going to have to put a diaper on. And I went into the bathroom and I put on a diaper and I walked into her room and I did a little diaper dance. And in that, like, in that moment, I think my heart grew to infinity, right? Because our capacity to hold hard is directly proportional to our capacity to hold good. How willing are we to engage the hard? If I only allow myself to feel hard a little bit, then I can only feel good a little bit, you know?
Yes.
And the hard's gonna kill you. It is. It's the hard will wreck you and all of that, but the good will save you. So that's that dance move. Do you guys do you guys have anything?
I have something coming up. Like,
Okay.
This is way oversimplification of my journey. There's way more complexity to it, but I think for a lot of years, even before, like, especially, I feel like this came from the type of Christianity that I was exposed to, but like, life is hard, period. You're a sinner, period. Heaven's the only good thing. So like, that was a perpetual state of despair, and I think I already, like, am prone to melancholy, and I've actually learned to, like, accept that and use that. It's like a more beautiful relationship now, but like, I'm talking back then, like, there wasn't capacity for good. I didn't know how to hold both. And what's coming up for me as you're talking is, like, we had this idea to do this podcast together in the middle of one of the hardest things I've experienced in a really long time. And I think that was the first time that I held both so like, I don't want to say balanced. It wasn't perfectly balanced, but I remember talking to my coach, my parts work coach, and I was like, am I just using this podcast collaboration as a coping mechanism? Like, am I like trying to positivity myself, you know? Because in the past, the hard would just consume me, and I'd be like, I guess this is just where I'm at again. I guess this is just what life is. There's no hope on earth or whatever. But I don't believe any of that anymore. And so my coach reflected to me, like, I actually see you choosing you. You're like, this is hard. This is almost taking you out. But look, it didn't consume you. And you're saying, and I have this dream that has to do with me. That isn't me getting swallowed up by the other people. And so that example just came strongly to mind, because that's like me over like the last decade building the capacity to hold both is why we're sitting here right now.
And it takes time. It takes a decade.
Oh my God, yes.
It takes 10 years to be like, to stop pretending, like, to choose, you know, to, yes, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for witnessing that. That was just like a coming home moment.
Dude.
Thank you.
There are a couple practices. I know that we want listeners and to like walk away with some ways to help support that dance step, right? And so some things that I used just that are really helpful to me are journaling truths and joys. So journaling what's true. I don't need to journal what's positive, right? If I'm having a shit day with my 4 kids, I'm not gonna journal. The true thing is, I have a pen right here because I'm gonna like maybe write it all the time. I want to like actually write it. Like, what's true is, this is hard. This feels like hell. I don't want to be a mom right now. I am tired. It's that, like, if you saw my journal pages on harder days and harder seasons, they're not overtly positive, right? They don't sound positive. And we touched about on this a little bit in the other one, like, it is true. Children are hard. It is true. The world is hard. It is true. Money is hard, and marriages are hard. And what else is true? So, you know, kids are hard, whatever. I can take a walk when David gets home. And you're actively writing this down. So then, because you're engaging totally different parts of your brain when you do that. And even better is if you can look in a mirror and speak them, because that's more of your neural, structure, your neuroanatomy involved. And that's vagus nerve, which, vagus is the master and commander of parasympathetic, rest and digest. Bonus points. So this is bonus points if you speak those truths while you're bilaterally tapping, because that's the basis of EMDR, right? Which is a very body-based therapeutic practice.
Could you describe that for anyone not watching on YouTube? Like what
Yes,
you were just
yes.
tapping?
So I just cross my hands. I put my hands across my chest. But I think, okay, so this is my right hand to my left chest, my left shoulder, right just below my shoulder. My left, I'm so bad with lefts and rights. My left hand to my right shoulder. So I'm now touching, I've got just my hands on opposite chest. And I just tap, 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 tap. I am good. I am safe. I am loved. This is hard. This feels impossible. I'm killing it. I'm doing the best I can. I'm a human, and that's perfect. God loves humans. My husband loves that I'm a human, and then just all these truths,
Beautiful.
right?
Yeah.
So that's that one.
It's beautiful.
The third dance floor, and this is my second book, I think. My second book is going to be called Next Loving Step. I think I'm just going to do a book for every dance. For
There
every
you
dance
go.
move.
I love it.
So this dance move, the universal truth that accompanies it is love. That love is going to win 100% of the time. And again, there are study after study after study that talk about the impact of loving compassion on our cellular health and our neuroanatomy. So this one is you're dying. Okay. It starts with like, you're dying right now. You two are both dying. Everyone listening to this is dying. I am dying. I am only guaranteed the next thing in front of me. Okay. I'm not guaranteed that I make it to walk and pick up my kids from school later, So I'm dying. I have the next step in front of me. If I have two options, okay? And this is more universal, right? This idea that everything we do is motivated by either love or fear. Those are the two main motivators. If I take it in fear, if I take the step because it's the step I, quote, should take, then anything that begins with should is registered as a threat to the nervous system, because it implies shame. I'm not where I am. I should do this. I'm not where they want me to be. I should do this. So should equals threat. Okay? Threat equals fear. Fear is a real physiological thing in our body. It activates our HPA axis. It induces dysregulation. And via a series of beautiful protective mechanisms that the body has, good and hard mechanisms, right? That dysregulation becomes inflammation. And inflammation is widely regarded as the root of all preventative disease. Okay, so I'm going to walk through that one more time. Fear equals, we'll start with should, right? Fear or should equals threat because it's shame-based. That equals dysregulation. That equals inflammation. That leads to disease. Okay, that's fear. Or I could take my step in love. And that is, I don't care about the wise step. I don't care about the right step. I don't care about the frugal step or the holy step or the what's another one? What are other motivators?
Responsible
step. The maternal step, the responsible, you just said responsible. None of that matters to me. I want to know if it makes my tail wag. That's a term I use. Does it make my nervous system go, oh, that's true? Yeah. Not happy, I don't give a shit about happy. I want it to feel whole. I want it to feel true and right. So I'm not guaranteed any step, but the one that's in front of me. May it be in love. And after a decade, right? Because that's how long it takes to kind of restore. That's, I mean, cell turnover, when you think about, you have actually new anatomy every 10 years. Okay. So that's why that happens. After about a decade of practicing next loving steps, pivoting towards love and away from fear, we're pretty like, it's like, oh yeah, I could do this. Like, I know who I am. I like who I am. This feels manageable. This is still hard. And we're all gonna make it, this is okay. So you're dying. You're also living. Like, that's the beautiful thing. This is just non-dualism again. You're living. And I can tell you, as someone who has actually flatlined, that the harder thing, the scarier thing to endure than physical death is enduring a life unlived. Like that is
fucking man.
It is harder to endure a life that you do not enjoy, does not make your tail wag, than it is to actually die, Thoughts on that?
Just like exhale for a minute.
Yeah.
It feels so important. I think about fear and decision making, and I think about the times that the worst thing I could have feared happened. And when you live and you endure through it, I mean, I've talked about my divorce a lot. Like, that was the thing I wouldn't have wanted to happen more than anything in the world, to me and my kids. It's making me emotional.
Yeah.
And it happened, and like, you live, And so I think when you learn that you can like survive the worst thing, it helps you to stop making decisions out of fear and should.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, I didn't die. The worst thing happened. And unfortunately, sometimes it feels like I'm still here, and now I am living this story that I didn't want to repeat, but I'm not repeating it. I have to tell myself that all the time. Like, my kids are having a very different experience than I had, even though on paper, it sure looks like I did a copy paste, from some of the things I experienced. And so, just like that idea of making decisions, it would have felt like the right decision to stay married if I was making the decision out of fear of the worst thing happening. And on this side, I don't endorse it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I am more vital and alive than I've ever been in my life. So
it was loving.
It was loving for both of us and for my kids. And
isn't that so fucked? That like it's like, the good and the hard. It's like good plus hard equals loving. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Hugs.
I
know. I wish we could all hug.
We could chain her.
Zoom hug. I'll do it. I can hug myself. She cares well for herself.
I'll hug you later too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the truth. As you talk about, just we can make decisions in fear. That's a narrative that's right there, because that was the scariest thing,
You did it. You did the loving thing instead of the easy, or the thing, the right, or what, I don't know.
But I love good plus hard equals loving. I love that.
Thank you. There are three pillars pillars to next loving step. So that dance move has three separate little foot movements within it, right? Or like, I don't know. Like,
well, 8 counts, yeah.
Yeah. The first one is courage. The second one is curiosity, and the third one is embodiment. And that's it. So if you want to practice this new, right, we're going back to that, these help us exist in a more neutral space. Next loving step, and next, in order to be able to take next living steps, we have to practice courage, which sounds like I'm gonna stay on this dance floor even though it's clunky, even though I hate it, right? And we talked a little bit in the first episode about like sobriety being and not abandoning oneself as being like truly the most courageous act. This I find this really, really, really important for people pleasers. Just that like you got to do you. You know, it's your next loving step. It's not anyone else's. This is what I need to do. This isn't. It's gonna piss people off, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And I can't know anyone else's next loving step, right? I have to trust that they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's good for the codependents in the room.
Yeah, I know. On the second one, curiosity. That one sounds like, well, maybe I'm not such a bad dancer, or I wonder why they're dancing that way. This is big in trauma work, in trauma healing, right? Trauma says, I'm sure it's going to go this way. It always does. It always has. It always will. Curiosity whispers, could you be wrong? Could it go differently? Trauma says, I'm sure. Curiosity says, and could you be wrong? And I love this story about my son for this one. He's such a little asshole. He has his switch, right? So it's the family switch. It's right back there. Actually, this is perfect. I'm in the room. Okay, so the charger's right there, right? And when he's done with the charger, he's supposed to put it back or when he's done with the switch, he's supposed to put it back in the charger for his sisters who want to play switch as well. But oftentimes he forgets. And one morning, I'm downstairs, I hear this fight going upstairs. My daughter goes, Atticus, where's the switch? It's like, I can't find it. It's not where it needs to be. And he goes, I put it back. And she goes, it's not. You didn't put it back. It's not in the charger. And he goes, no, I'm sure I put it back. And she goes, you're wrong. It's not there. And in that moment, because I work with trauma, I work with embodiment. I myself have had to heal from some pretty gnarly stories and beliefs about myself. He was sure, and he was wrong. That blew my mind. Like, what can we be sure of and be wrong about?
Wow.
As far as what we believe about ourselves, right? And the world. Could it be different for me? That was a big one for my pain. I was sure I needed pain meds. I was wrong. Yeah. I was sure I wasn't going to be able to live life without my handicap sticker or a cane. I was wrong. I was sure of, X, Y, and Z.
I see the beauty of like community in that too. Like that sometimes the stories we believe about ourselves, it's too hard for us to like see another way. And so even sister saying like, no, and like almost let's walk you down to the port and see like it's not there. And then we have to confront our own like beliefs. But I think there is like a community piece there. Like if we're willing to be curious about our beliefs and then we have safe, loving people around us to say, this is what's true about you. We can be more open to like receiving the idea that there is another story,
No one has ever said that in a class. No one's ever had that comment. Yeah. That's precious. Yes, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm always thinking about healing in community.
Yes, yeah, that's helped me a lot because I like to hide and heal by myself.
Yeah, how can we make a new story? Like if he was just sure that he plugged it in and there was no one else to confront that narrative challenge that narrative, he could have gone through the whole day, the whole life thinking I plugged it in and like we need each other.
We totally do.
She says again. She says into her mic, we need each other, But I love that. I love that.
Okay, then there's a third, the third pillar is embodiment. And this one I could talk forever about, but I'm going to keep it very, very just very here. And embodiment is essential. Guts are essential. Okay, so getting in bellies. If you hear one thing about bodies or anything here, it's please, please, please get in your belly. Your guts have more lymphatics than fit more than 50% of the nodes in your body, so huge immune function, more neurons than your spinal cord. Okay, so it's more of a brain. It's called your enteric nervous system. More neurons. It's more of a brain than your spinal cord is. And in embodiment, we begin to establish that relationship with ourselves, right? Which we need to be able to take a next living step. I need to know what fear feels like in my body. I need to know what love feels like in my body. I need to be here enough to be able to listen to it so I can take that next living step. I love talking about the impact of shoulds here in wellness industry and standard of care. It's like I call it I think it's the Huberman effect, which it's like the thing that you guys I know that you guys know Huberman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Who doesn't know Andrew Huberman, this physician? He's wonderful. I love his mission, which is to make science way more accessible. And I'm seeing nodding.
Like, and
there are a lot of shoulds in his language. Data backed, scientifically supported, beneficial, good, right? Quote, shoulds.
Yeah.
And I've heard countless stories of people who did the cold plunges, who do intermittent fasting, all of that, because it's what they should do. But we know what should actually does to a nervous system. And if we're honest about it, and which we have to be, like, then I'm not doing this because it makes me feel like truer, which is why I have to feel like this brings me closer to myself. I have to bring like this. This has to make me feel regulated. But if I don't know what regulated feels like, then I can't know that this is loving or not. So I'm just gonna do all the shit Huberman says. I'm gonna buy all the gear that everyone says to buy. I'm gonna do all this stuff in great intention, right? But actually all I'm doing is just dysregulating myself. And the same thing with standard of care can be said. Doctor, I have friends who it was not loving for them to get radiation, even though the standard of care was radiation. They were embodied enough to know that's not actually loving for me. If I get radiation, it's going to be because I'm afraid. And I have friends. I know. Okay, Holly, you go.
I feel like I'm gonna like jump out of my chair and like do a cartwheel or something.
Okay. Do it.
Maybe later. Prove it. I'm just grinning ear to ear because everything you're saying is just like a lot of lessons I've learned in my own life, and like feel just like really grateful to be connecting with another human who has healed from way different things than I have. It's a healing and community happening in real time. But just to hear, sometimes I feel like alone and weird in some of these things, but like that is my exact, like, if we all have a good girl or good boy gone human story, anyone that's like on the dance floor engaging this work, like we all have that story. That is mine, is fear. Everything was fear. Like, I don't have anything against Christ, Christians, anything, but anyone using Christianity rooted in fear, which was my experience, that's what I let go of, is dehumanizing, and it took me away from myself. Now I'm afraid of my body. I'm afraid of my soul. I'm afraid of being a human. I'm afraid of being on earth. I'm afraid of literally everyone. Like, why do I heal in isolation? I'm afraid of other humans. And so what relief I found when I left Christianity, and then I had all these chronic symptoms. I had just like a hell of a handful of years. And then there was these beautiful, like, holistic wellness people being like, get your celery juice on, get like these 25 supplements. I went hard into that world, but guess what I was missing? Connection to myself. And there's a huge turning point. This is a way longer story, but huge turning point for me was actually seeing like an energy healer / chiropractor, and actually having her touch and like But she was like seeing how afraid I was. To be afraid of not being well will never bridge the gap to wellness. So I had this moment of like, I realized I was abandoning my body and then throwing things at it. Like you were saying, the Huberman thing. Like when we're seeing those like cold plunge things on the internet, like I'll speak for myself, so I'm not like, I'm not saying this is everyone's experience, but there is probably a shared experience of we're already scrolling, maybe for reasons that are potentially disconnecting. And then you see a should. Oh, I have those symptoms. Oh, is this? I should do that. We're skipping any embodiment. So the moment for me was like I was just weeping on my floor, like, and had this moment where I talked to my body, which was a huge move from like talking to God and talking to practitioners and talking about like, what's the standard of care here? Well, I don't trust them, so I'm going to find the wellness gurus, like standards of care. But that moment crying on my floor, I'll never forget it. Like I remember what the room looked like, how the light was coming through. It was like a big turning point. And I held my body and I talked to me, and I said, I'm sorry, I will never leave you again. I'm sorry. That was the turning point. And there's so many stories like that, that came after that were the rupture and repair of leaving and reconnecting. But I'm just on fire right now to bring it back to your point of fear versus love. Is I had all of these prescriptions that I were told were in love, but they weren't. They were in fear and control. And then those were self-imposed, right? They were like implanted. They were implants in me. So I had to do this metaphorical surgery. And then now I'm enjoying this like embracing of curiosity of like, maybe I'm wrong. And that's how I engage with everything now, is like, I love human design that helped me connect to myself, but like, maybe that's wrong too. But I love it now. And can I be curious about other dance moves? Oh, that one's different.
Yes.
That's not for me. And that's okay, because I felt that in my gut as a no. Or, that's confronting me. Maybe I should move towards it with curiosity. So anyway, that's my little personal anecdote.
Well, you had a relationship with yourself, your embodiment. I see you holding that little self, that true self, that divine being of you, and that is relationship. That's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Thank you for listening. Yeah, and the alternative was death. Yeah. Like I didn't want to be here if I wasn't, building that relationship and that mattering and my body mattering, like kept me alive, kept me on the dance floor, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you had to pretend, it's a no thank you.
Yeah, no thanks.
No thanks. Some practices or practical stuff, like, like I like to think about the tail wagging analogy. Like, does it, and there are so many different types of tail wags. There's like what's that, like, what's that sound over there? That makes me a little bit curious. It doesn't feel like, ooh, that's that. And then there's oh my God, that's my best friend. I love that dog, oh yeah. And then there's, but it's autonomic. That's the thing, is dogs can't control that. It is their tell. So that's why guts are really, that's why guts are a big deal. They get you in your body fast. Visceral massage is incredible for that. Visceral manipulation, any lymphatic work. Lymphatics actively drain cortisol, which is a major player in all of this. Mm-hmm. Richard Rohr, I love this. He says he likes to pray for one good embarrassment every day. And when I think about like egos and all of just how to stay playful, how to stay loving, how to do all of that. And then I always just like to tell people, like, this takes years to develop, this takes years, and it's not natural. It's not a natural thing to pivot towards love. We are so programmed, hardwired to survive, right? I know, as cavemen and women, whatever, I know that there's that type of snake that lives over there, so I don't go over there. Mm-hmm. I hear that kind of thunderclap, and I know that it indicates that. I know that over there's a bunch of lions. We're just programmed for survival. Mm-hmm. And I really am excited about this kind of phase in human evolution. This like universal like upgrade almost. But, hey, we have a choice. Like, we have a choice. So that's NLS. NLS is next loving step.
Next.
And then and then the final step is you can't fuck it up. Like that's and that came
That's a
like,
relief.
Amen.
and the universal truth that that goes along with is radical forgiveness. If I'm not fucked up and neither of you are fucked up and nothing, you know, I put my son in the NICU. We talked about this in the first. I have made some real meaningful major mistakes, quote mistakes in my life. I'm not a fuck up. I didn't do that. So if I can't fuck it up, then this means that they can't fuck it up. And that's a really hard one for people
Yeah.
to grapple with.
Why? Why have you seen that's hard for people?
There's just I deal with a lot of patients who are working through trauma, through abuse, through stuff, and so to ask them to entertain the fact, the truth that we're all human, some degree of wounded, not wicked. You know, how willing are you to look at how willing are we are to look at our own hard and our own good? You know, I it's a really gnarly thing. But if my mom, my abuser, was a fuck up, right? Then I'm the thing she fucked up. And I'm not a fuck up. I'm a human. I'm not fucked up, right? The thing. So it's just this awful, messy conundrum, right? Of like, shit, there are people like, where am I supposed to put this? And this is where like deep breathing, the embodiment, the staying curious instead of being sure, boundaries, because I'm not close to my mom. I don't know that I ever will be. We can talk and be in the same room now, but I'm on the dance floor and I'm over here. She's a human. She's allowed to be. She's dancing her dance over there. I don't need to be near her dance right now. That's not my loving step. My loving step is to do my life, to build my thing, to create my world and love my people and all of that, and to let her do hers, to let her, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, there are two tools that I use to really hit this one home. Do you guys want to hear them?
Oh,
We
yeah.
do. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Go for
Okay.
it.
I'm like, okay. So the
Please.
first one, if you listen to the first episode, I talk about the meditation, I do the resourcing and this happened, the one I'm about to talk about, the door exercise, happened right after, like within 2 weeks of the wounded not wicked like thing we talked about. Um and that one was, so I'm on the same sofa in my mind sofa. I have my mind room, my resource room, and I'm just kind of sitting there like waiting for my subconscious to bring to my attention the thing that I need to address. And there's a knock at the door right in front of me. And my mom walks in. And I want to again piece out of that meditation faster than anything. So my mom walks in and she stands in front of me. And then there's a second knock at the door, and it's my biological dad. And that's book number 3. That's a whole nother.
All right, we'll have you back then.
Yeah. Then there's a third knock at the door, and it was 16-year-old Claire. And 16-year-old Claire broke a lot of peace. I made some really unloving decisions that had real impacts on people. Like NICU type stuff, right? My son in the NICU type stuff. Like real like, oh shit, that was wrong. That was unloving. That was not cool. Then there was a fourth like presence at the door, and it's my infant daughter Lucy, my firstborn, who crawls in. And Lucy was 5 weeks old when I was diagnosed, and I actively put a wall between she and I, because I thought I was dying. So like I
Mm-hmm.
came home from that re-diagnosis appointment and I told my mother-in-law, I don't want to hold her. It's too much. Like
Oh.
I don't want her
Mm-hmm.
to love me because I'm gonna die, you know? So now I've got my mom, my bio dad, me, and my baby in front of me. And I am I am just spun beyond belief. These are,
Mm-hmm.
and so I start spewing at each of them. To my mom, I go, "You're the meanest bitch I know." And to my dad, I go, "You're a fat fuck." And to 16-year-old me, I go, "You're a real piece of shit." And to little Lucy, I say, "I have no idea how to love you." Okay. So I've just, it's like one sentence to each of them. And then I like paused. And then I, in that resource, in that meditation, realized that the thing that I communicated to each of them was the thing that I hated was either true about me or was I was afraid that I was going to embody or become. So
Wow.
to my mom, you're the meanest bitch I know. I am the actual meanest bitch I know. You should see me in late luteal. Okay?
Sure.
Like
Fair.
I have just a demonic tongue sometimes. Like just like, So but
Mm-hmm.
my fear is if that right, that's my
Mm-hmm.
projection onto
Projection.
her.
Mm-hmm.
I weighed over 450 pounds at my heaviest, and it's that fat fuck's fault.
Mm.
You fat fuck. You taught me how to eat this way. You walk with a collapsed arch because you weigh so much, and I have that same collapsed arch. Do this, and this. You taught me how to inhale all of it, just like projection after projection, right? And then to 16-year-old me, like, you're a real piece of shit. Like, am I a piece of shit? Am I actually shit? Not wounded,
Mm.
but am I? Am I bad? You know?
Mm.
And then the little Lucy, I don't know how to love you. I don't know how to love me.
Yeah.
What do I need? How do I like she reflected back to me this thing that I struggle with, right? And then this presence walks through the door and it's I don't know, an angel, an entity, I don't know what it was. And we'd like telekinetically communicate, I don't know, that I need to make each of them beds in my subconscious.
Hmm.
I need to put them to bed. And so it's like it's this I'm like, okay, so you have to build beds for all of them here in this room. This is my room. This is
Oh.
my space. And the angel, whatever, I don't know, was like, yeah, let's do it. And every piece of material I needed to make their beds, this entity, this thing would give me. So my mom loves big white down comforters and so it was she gets the down comforter thing and I brought her over and I tucked her in and I put her to bed. And my dad loves tropical everything, so I had the angel like put two palm trees up and we did a hammock and my dad got this hammock in the corner. And then 16, this one makes me cry.
Mm.
16-year-old Claire just really didn't want to be alone anymore
Mm.
and like really just needed a hug. And so I was like, come on over here. Like, come, I'll hold you. I'll hold you.
Oh.
And then Lucy crawls on up onto my lap and I hold her. And I'm sitting in this room. I'm like, God damn. Okay, that was a big day.
Mm.
And so now, whenever I have this like, they,
Mm.
right? They are doing, I imagine them walking through that door. And what's the first thing I want to spew at them? What's one sentence? You, blah, 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 or why, blah, 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 blah. And that's my fucking medicine.
Oh, Claire. Wow.
That's that's the thing. Whatever I
Yeah.
spew at them is
Yeah.
exactly my work and the unmet need in myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
once I see it from a neutral human space,
Yeah.
it goes to bed. It
Mm.
loses its power.
Mhm.
It's just there. right? And the second one is just the AA inventory. I highly suggest them. They're incredible. Everybody I know who's awesome does AA inventories every day, all day. And if you want to walk through that, I'm happy to. But if you want to also just take a breather, we can do that.
We'll
breathe.
We can link that. We can link the AA inventory.
Yeah,
and stuff in our notes,
we hope we'll have you back. But like, I feel like that was like a like a meal, like a nourishing. Just I don't know. I'm just so grateful you laid that out, and I guess I did just need a breather.
Yeah.
That was just such a...
I'll take a
You do belly breaths?
Yeah.
That's even better.
Even better.
And an invitation to people listening as well. Like, this is some tender stuff we're sitting with. And just as we are wrapping up here, just so humbled by gratitude for you coming here and sharing such vulnerable stories. Like, where we... tell our stories and who we tell them with, like, is such a sacred thing. And I know I can feel like how much this has helped me, and that this is going to help a lot of other listeners as well. And I'm also just in awe of, like, you know, Christina and I ventured out to do this podcast knowing, like, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we feel like people that get it, that are doing the same work, are going to find us. And it's pretty incredible how many humans are out there. The fact that, like, we found each other, and, like, I'm just feeling into the magic and the purpose and the beauty of that we got to, like, dance here together today. So thank you so much, Claire, for being here and sharing. And I do want to just remind everyone, like, I think in the first one we said you have this workshop that is a bit more sciencey. So anyone that is, like, interested in that, I believe you're working on it virtually, but it's not available yet, right? But locally
not
in
available
Denver.
Virtually, but yeah, in Denver, I'm teaching a DU coming up. I teach at my massage school every once in a while, but
wonderful.
And my website, clairemargit.com. But really, I'm just an artist, and really just feeling and being out in the world and taking whatever God and higher source and all that pours in and pouring it back out, and just so grateful to have connected and to keep connecting, I'm sure.
Oh, please, yes.
With you two humans.
Of course. The trajectory of, like, both conversations together. And when we first were chatting, we all just had this knowing, like, we need more time, we need more space. And so I'm grateful that we leaned into that, and, like, the arc from story and how our biology believes us, and then into these actual practical tools. I'm like, I'm excited to re-listen to it myself and just, like, think through, you know, story, like, comes up for me. It's like, wow, I tell myself that story a lot. What is that doing to my body, to my brain? And so there's a lot that we can sit with here, and we're just so grateful for your lived experience and your wisdom and your candor and sharing just, like, who you are. And so thank you. Thank you.
Not anymore. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I love that you ended on the note, I'm just an artist. I could feel you just being so willing to learn all the tools, but then paint with them, not in this just one sciencey way. So thank you for relating in such a dynamic way with us. And our little sign off here, like, actually correlates with, I don't know if you know this, Claire, but, like, Christina caring for me in that hard time that I mentioned earlier when we were building the podcast vision and I was, like, not okay, is actually something that she said to me. And it feels very holding the good and the hard, which is your language. So I say to you, Claire, to all of our listeners, to Christina, that you are an absolute badass in the most fragile thing. Treat yourself as both. We love you.
Thanks, Claire.
Thanks, Claire.
Love you guys.